What's up, folks? Casual Dad here to take another quick look at Morvenn Vahl, the latest Supreme Commander. Now, at the moment, we're kind of in the middle of the ladder. At the time of this recording, rather, we're in the middle of the ladder, and I am sitting at 3170 trophies, over 3,000, close to the most trophies I've ever gotten for a single deck, and that is with a level 3 Supreme Commander Morvenn Vahl. She is bananas. So I'm taking the advantage of our max level PvP campaign to see if that holds up and to see if she's as good as I think she is. But granted, she's at full max level now, so it's a more full test that isn't necessarily going to see if she's overpowered in the ladder. So I've got two different individual decks. Just to recap her ability, it's a long one, but long story short, whenever an opposing card dies, she generates something called a Faith Token. Faith Token. So whenever an enemy card dies, whenever any card dies, she generates a Faith Token. Each Faith Token gives you a 10% chance of a miracle happening, and a miracle can happen on offense or defense, no matter what type of attack it is. And on offense, it will increase the outgoing damage by 75%. On defense, it'll reduce the incoming damage by 75%. You start the game with 2 Faith Tokens, which gives you a 20% chance. Every time a card dies, it increases that chance by 10. So you kill one card off the first turn, and you have a 30% chance of a miracle happening. Every time a miracle triggers, it uses up 1 Faith Token. So you've got 30. You hit a card for 100 damage, but instead it comes through as 175 damage. That triggers a miracle, so now your next chance is 20%. We'll see that in play. It's less confusing than it sounds, but it's kind of a lot, and it's a very cool and very random ability and insanely powerful. So I have two kind of decks that I'm kicking around, and these, since this is a max level PvP campaign, but still 200 deck points, this is still my actual ladder decks, which has been a lot of fun. So this is my kind of base one that really leans heavily on melee, has that Furious Charge to go ahead and try to generate Faith Tokens before my turn, so these guys can get a kill and increase your odds of getting a miracle on your follow-up turn. And then you've got the Endless card, it will generate 2 Faith Tokens because she may die. You've got the Taunt, which is stupidly durable if you trigger a couple miracles on it. And then mostly some filler, but I found the utility of Poison extremely effective. So I've got that in there too. Pretty lean, but Morvenn Vahl is 88, 84. She's 84 points, so you have to kind of be a little efficient. The deck that I think is actually better, and I'll try both here in a second, leans heavily on those Psychers. So I've got all 3 of those Area Effect Psionic Blast Psychers, plus multiple taunts, Uninspiring Presence, and then a couple fillers here. I've got 3 taunts in here, actually. This I do think is better, but one of the key advantages of this one is you have a lot of cards that only have a single attack type, so it's a lot less common to accidentally trigger your miracles when you're not actually going for one. So you have more opportunity to bank miracles or bank Faith Tokens for times when your miracles are going to be most effective. So let's go ahead and run with this. But yeah, it's pretty nuts. And the ability is so random, and sometimes it's wasted, but there's almost never a case where it's truly not good to deal almost double damage or take almost half damage. Almost half? Oh, it's close to a quarter of damage, especially if you have a taunt out there. And again, same thing as I did somewhat recently, where in PvP, I deploy my kind of wonky cards first, so the opponent I'm playing at has as many deploys as possible without knowing the theme of my deck. I don't want to play something scary early, especially because I'm up against Artemis, who's going to do more damage the tougher things I put on the board. Now, this is going to be a really bad matchup to go up against Artemis, and especially Space Marines are really strong, but what better way to test this out than against a really bad matchup? Boom, I mentioned that utility of Poison. Got Shields and Fear here, both cards that do not like getting poisoned, and this is max level poison, so it will do a lot very quickly. But we'll see what goes on here. Chances are this guy dies immediately unless I get a couple miracles. And now right here, you can see I start with 20%. If I click on this, I can see miracle occurs for a friendly card attack. Damage increased to 75. Enemy card attack damage decreased. Each miracle removes 1 Faith Token. Right now I have 2 out of the max of 10. Can't go higher than 100%. So I have a 20% chance of a miracle triggering. Miracle. Ta-da! That will very seriously make... And now, of course, here... Boop! And then look, I generated another Faith Token. Now there's a 30% chance that any attack he does against me will be cut more than in half, which gives me a chance for a really squishy, weird card to actually survive. He also doesn't want to hit me with melee because that will give me the chance to poison one of these guys. So he did that instead to ready. Now, he's probably going to put something across from me in the middle that he doesn't mind being poisoned as much, like so, because he's trying to keep his other stuff alive. And that's part of the utility of poison. Oh, there we go. Minced doing 37 damage, which I don't really care about. That's part of the utility of poison, is that it just controls the board. People don't want to be poisoned. Trajan here, pop, will give me a... Oh, see, that one was wasted because I was already had lethal before the miracle, but at the same time, it also gave me back a faith token, so it's not that bad that it triggered one already. Ooh, and a miracle, boom! So getting off that poison was huge because he did try to... You saw what he did there, where he tried to take out my poison card with a really beefy ranged attack in the hopes that it wouldn't, that it would kill it. And the faith, so this guy is poisoned because of Vahl's ability. This guy is still alive to poison something else because of Vahl's ability. That would not have happened otherwise. Now it's my turn to ready. I don't really want to punch any of that yet. And this guy might survive. We'll see. Probably not, because this guy is hitting real hard. Especially if he does that. Ooh, God, that hurt. Miracle. But a miracle wouldn't save him. Yeah, so that miracle was wasted. But again, I generated a miracle token back because, or a faith token, that they have two different terms is confusing. It's a faith token and a miracle trigger. And this is going to be a rough matchup, which I kind of assumed it would be. Ooh, miracle. That one was wasted too. Ooh, that one may not be. Yeah, it was. Oh, there's a good one. And when you start the game, you start with 2 faith tokens for a 20% chance of a miracle, up to 2 miracles. And then when Vahl is deployed herself, she gives you an additional 2. So it is possible to go up to 100%, or go up to 10 faith tokens, especially if you have Furious Charge or Psionic Blast getting multiple kills. Oh, God, I love it. Oh, all 3 triggering at once and keeping all 3 of those cards alive. She would, I think, have died. He would definitely have died. And they won't because... Miracle! Now, my miracle stash is basically depleted, and that Medicae is unfortunate. We'll go for it. I've basically lost this game. So Vahl is not unbeatable, which is good, but... Oh! And there's the swing. That was, what, 400 and some odd damage that Trajan just did in a single hit? Oh, God. But Artemis, again, very bad matchup. Ooh, yeah, that's bad. 2 big game hunters with a buffed ranged attack. I've got a very high odd of miracles saving me, but very high odds. Interesting. But now Artemis is going to play, and because okay, so that could have won me the game if it was any warlord other than Artemis. Ooh, God, what a game. Okay, so you saw how powerful it was. I am fairly actually relieved to see that she's not totally unbeatable in Sync PvP and max level campaigns, because I went into this thinking that she was basically unbeatable. And now that was really smart play by a very, very brutal matchup, and it was Space Marines, who are one of the most effective PvP ladder factions. So let's look at one of the other options here. We're going to look at the option that it uses the AoE Psychers, which would have been better in that last game against the Shields and Fear. But let's see if this is... Ooh, oh, let's see if this is better. So this is a great matchup, because every time you kill a Termagant, you generate a wall of... you generate a faith token, so you get more miracles. That said, every time you kill one is a chance that you could spend a faith token on a miracle and not want to. So it does go both ways, but I think I'm probably going to generate more than I'm accidentally spending on those suckers. So see how it goes. And again, so this guy tells you nothing about the theme of the deck, that it's area effect psychic. No way to know that. And Vahl is rare enough, Vahl herself, let alone Supreme Commander Vahl, is rare enough that you really don't know what the meta build would be. So that is a challenging matchup here. Also, this is my 4th game in a row that I've been recording. I'm really, really milking this max level PvP campaign. And I haven't had a single disconnect or draw yet. So this is not promising. We'll see where this goes. And if this does, I want to play this deck at least once to go ahead and talk through it. But we will see, Fafnir. You really will be the Unforgiven if you time out on me, bro. Call this scout. Who knows Fafnir? If anyone watching this knows Fafnir, give him hell for me. Sounds like a familiar name. Is that a Lord of the Rings name? just going to time out. Let's see. I always get super sarcastic at this point. When you're getting the auto timeouts where someone's just idle and just not noticing, like, who knows what's going on. When it says they're deploying, I'm just like, are they? Are you sure? Are you sure, game? You know that's what they're doing? And now I will really give Fafnir hell if we see the really obnoxious trait where he lets it run out until the third deploy and then deploys. Now that is a tactical advantage that you can use in the game, but as somebody who's very much into like sportsmanship and the spirit of the game, you running down the clock so that you have more knowledge of your opponent's deployment is a dishonorable play, and I'm displeased. So we'll see what happens. If he just straight times out, you know it's not great, but whatever. But if he does start deploying live on that final play, I'm going to be pretty mad. Oh, look, he timed out. Oh, well. Oh, well. Love it. We got infantry on the board to supercharge our anti-infantry sector. Look at that. Look at that works out. And he can't even be targeted by that guy. Can't even be targeted by that guy because there's a thing in the middle. Yes. Because there's a bodyguard in the middle, no bodyguard can be played to the right. Just one of those tips that I'm sure everyone watching this knows this, but just in case, one of those tips that's really helpful in PvP when deployment is a little bit more adaptable, because it is a human deploying usually. If something is in the middle, you can safely know that this card will never be across from your card all the way to the right, or at least not until a couple cards die. So that's a nice safe thing. So this guy probably did just straight timeout, which is a bummer, but not as bad as if he just started deploying live here. I have heard a handful of players say that, and I don't agree with this either. I have heard a handful of players say that if you have a clock, you should always run it down because otherwise you are just, yeah, right. So we'll try another one. Otherwise, just leaving competitive advantage on the table. I don't really understand it. I mean, on some level, it's like sure, but on the other, there is something to be said for not running out your entire clock every time. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, look at that! I won! Yay! Hard fought. Okay, we're going to try one more. I do want to play a game with this deck. I don't want this video to be super long. This should be a nice short check-in on Vahl herself and how she's doing in the ladder, or how she's doing in Sync PvP and whether she's overpowered. I'm sure there are other deck builds I can play with her, and there's a lot more experimenting to do. I've stuck with some fairly consistent ones because they've been very effective in ladder play, and I've been kind of trying to steamroll through the ladder. Ooh. One thing I really like about the volume of cosmetics that are in the game now is now you can really customize that. I like this one. That's cool. That's very cool. Dark. Appropriately grim dark, but cool. Also, someone not flagged with a clan. Mysterious. I do enjoy playing new warlords because I don't know what is happening with the warlord. I love experimentation and surprises. I hope other players like playing against the Lesthian warlords just to be like, ooh, that's cool. But it does have that added thing where your opponent has no idea what to do against you, or no idea what to do with it, really. Unless they're like me and spend much too long thinking about this stuff. Maybe. Okay, and we wait. And now we wait. If both these guys just time out, that would be a real bummer. If this gets to 2 strikes, I may go ahead and call the recording. I've kind of said my piece. I don't want this to be super long. I don't just want to sit here and watch the clock run down. Ooh, he played. Whoa. Oh, here we go. Played on the cheap sector. Still doesn't really give much away. And this could just be a slow connection. This could be someone who's like legit doing something else and trying to do Sync PvP. It always throws me off, Sync PvP. I have been guilty of timing out before on accident, which I feel really bad about. Just because usually the game is so laid back, you don't really think about having to be there live. And that's one of the things that I like about Sync PvP. It's also something I don't like about it. It is much slower than normal play, and you have to actually be on for the entire game, which is hard when you're trying to bang out like 30 of these to go ahead and get through the entire reward track. Not counting losses. Well, actually, it does kind of factor in losses. I lose a lot in sync PvP because I'm always messing around with stuff. But ooh, okay. So we've got a psychic mirror, which is unfortunate. Ooh, okay, miracle right there. Got it back. Now that was a really bad deployment for me, and he did a really good job capitalizing on it. We're gonna have to see how this one goes. I did not expect to run up against a full-on psychic deck as my opponent, so this is gonna be interesting. Yep, full-on psychic. All right. Cool. And this is something you never see. I never hit full-on psychic Tyranid decks in the ladder. And there's the miracle triggered. Oh, look at all those beautiful, beautiful faith tokens. You go there. Got this magnificent, inspiring presence. I gotta watch this guy because these guys at max level do a lot of psychic damage. Miracle and anti-infantry, right? Yeah. So just did a lot of damage there, which may. Oh, yeah, we're hoping for a miracle. So I don't want him to get poisoned is the thing. We're going to go ahead and go with it. 40% chance. Miracle. Boom. Okay, and right there is another case where that was a small buff, but you get multiples of those small buffs throughout games, and it really does add up to be a dramatic advantage. So when reading Vahl's ability, I was pretty shocked that it was 75%. So you could easily dial her down a bit if she becomes too scary, just by reducing the percentage. Now, it is a miracle. It is the Emperor protects. You get to yell the Emperor protects whenever you're in a defensive one. So you kind of want to keep it really good. So there are other things I've heard of where you could kind of adjust that to make them more expensive. Not reduce the power, but reduce the frequency and the reliability, because they are random. But in all the gameplays testing I've done, I have had no trouble triggering them just like all day long, which is fun. But it does make her a little bit overpowered. Miracle. Miracle back. Miracle back. And there again, this guy's about to die, which he would not have if not for the miracle. Miracle. I believe in miracles. This still, though, I am taking pretty significant attrition. And the Psionic Blast from both of those should comfortably finish off the Taunt and the Culexus. Now, one key thing here, too, though, is if Psionic Blast is a lot more powerful than Barrage in this case, because if you shoot a card with Barrage and a miracle triggers that reduces the incoming damage, that also will reduce the damage to adjacent targets, whereas with Psionic Blast, it does not. So if one of these guys manages a miracle to survive, it will not mean that everything else takes less damage, which is unfortunate. 82. I may survive this. So if he does Psychic, ooh, he did melee creative. Okay. Miracle. Ah, nope. That was not a miracle. I did not get it. Okay, so that makes things a little bit trickier. So we'll play Vahl. Oh, yeah. 70% chance of miracles, y'all. And there it is. Psionic Blast Miracle. I don't really want to do that. Go ahead and do that, and we'll bank it for a bit. 70 miracles. Oof, man, yeah. Now, what sucks about that, though, is I'm up against Psionic Blast. So with the 70% chance, there's high odds that I trigger just 3 miracles in a row on defense, which isn't the worst thing that could happen, but it's certainly not the best thing that could happen. I do have an edge here in that I have an actual card that has a ranged attack, which is the modifier in which the Tyranid team has only played one of so far. We'll see. Got the taunt card, so he should live and should comfortably take this guy. Ooh, okay. If he wins this duel and is able to kill this guy with Psychic, that puts me in a very good spot to finish this out. And miracle! And miracle! Boom. 60% chance of miracles. Oof. I gotta tell you guys, I honestly forget which warlord I'm up against. Yeah, Parasite. Oh, yike. Interesting. So doing a Parasite deck without melee Huh. Boom! Another 500 damage single hit on melee. So they're, yeah. And so you could probably see why I think that that deck is better, because Psionic Blast and Psychers are just so powerful in general. It's just, and again, that's similar to what I said before about Ulthakar. Is that a good Vahl deck, or is that a good AoE Psyker deck? And I think in this case, unlike Ulthakar, which I just recorded, although I posted it, I think, a week before this one. I think that Vahl's miracles were so impactful in that game. I got multiple kills I wouldn't have without Vahl. I had multiple cards survive hits that I wouldn't have without Vahl. Like, there was a lot in there that speaks to Vahl being the reason I won that game instead of the bodyguards, or the combination of both being the reason that I won that game. So that was that. Showed off the 2 decks. I do think she's absolutely incredible. I don't know if she's broken yet. It's a little bit hard to say that, because I will say I did comfortably get to 3,100 trophies, but it was somewhat earlier in the latter season. This was recorded some time ago. And I did hit a bit of a wall when the season started ramping up. Wow, that is a great pack. I love that. A great set of packs. Nice. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Let's see one more. I'm going to go ahead and build a deck with Vahl, and we'll see if it's as good here. And I'm going to do a range deck, just to go ahead and see this. And I love this. So a lot of the time when I'm messing around with this, I'll just do main attack stat, the highest value cards of the main attack stat, and then kind of look at the points. So I only have 116 points to play with, which is very limiting. I do want Barrage. Also, this cracks me up. I'm sure this is a typo, just that the Manticore is the only card in the entire card collection anywhere that is not live for the bonus here. But we'll go ahead and pop them in there because dirt cheap. I think this one too. Ah, yeah, there we go. That's better. Actually, we're going to do this. We'll go a little more thematic. Junith, does she still have Barrage? She does. And Inspiring Presence. Oh, you beauty. He's got Precision Shot, which is good, but not what I'm going for. Yeah, into infantry good too. Okay. Ooh, she's bonkers good for 9 points now with the buff and in theme. I love it. This is going to be the most thematic Vahl deck I've built yet. Oh, yeah, that poison utility. Love that. Shields. We got space. There you go. Try again, brag. We got so much barrage going on here. We have 9 points left. Now's the time to reset that. With 9 points and 2 card slots, I probably want Taunt. And what can I do for 4? Outflank is nice. Okay, we can do that. Yeah, let's do it. This is a very basic, just face punchy barrage deck. I do want to test something here, actually. So I haven't done a whole lot of barrage with Morvenn Vahl. So I want to see if a miracle triggers on a barrage shot. Will it trigger just on an adjacent target, or will it only trigger on the primary target? So we'll see that. So what I want to look for is to see if any shots trigger a miracle just on an adjacent shot, which I don't think they will. But yeah, if I am triggering miracles on a primary shot with a barrage weapon, it's going to do a lot of damage. Also, if you get a bunch of kills on offense, it does increase your chance of getting defensive miracles if you don't trigger all that many. All right, I got a Vahl Battle Pass, but Akaran. I'm glad I am just swimming in barrage when I'm going up against Akaran. I expect many shields, especially in a full deck, a full Akaran deck. I don't know if I'm good with this. Chances are it's also probably a very heavy ranged Akaran deck, which should be a challenging matchup, but we'll see what's in there. All right, sure. This guy, I mean, I love to see him. He's so good, but it's also very frustrating to deal with him. So we'll go ahead and go. There we go. Unassuming Sister Bacharia. I'll try to corner this guy and play my poison card last. Actually, you know what? Okay. So I did play an Ulthakar game. No, I played a Vahl game earlier where poison got sort of not where it was supposed to be. I'm actually going to hold on to that poison card and play it at a time when I know where the opposing cards are going to be, so I don't waste it, especially since she's considerably squishier. Oh, look, Fear. No surprise there. You know it was coming. Or you know that fear is coming if you're seeing Space Marines in PvP. I do think there is a bit of a problem with Space Marines with the volume of shields and fear they can run, which sucks because there's a lot of really cool thematic stuff they can do, and fear is really good. But it probably shouldn't be like everything is fear. Especially that combination where we see two cards there that are very different that have the same ability spread of fear and furious charge. Which makes sense. Absolutely makes sense for the characters they are. And the alternative for this guy could be like fear and berserk, which I don't want. Then miracle, bloop. Look at that. Turned an 80 damage attack into what, 20? Ah, you dirty. And just to highlight again that Vahl is the only Imperial Guard warlord in the entire game, or the only Servants of the Emperor warlord in the entire game, who benefits from enemy cards dying, which is really strong. That is another way you could dial it back too, is have faith tokens only generate when you lose a friendly card, or only when you destroy an enemy card, not when any card dies. I do think that kind of takes away from the ability, so I don't know if that's I don't know if I'd go that route. Bye. Give me some miracles. Oh, man, I love buffed poison. Buffed poison is, I was just talking about fear and shields being a problem with Space Marines. The buffs to poison make me almost think of poison as an auto-include trait. You should have at least one poison card in every single deck, just in case you hit a wall of shields and poison, because it's a really effective way to deal with that. Yeah. And this thing is just so durable now. Da, 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 da. Barrage. Oh, miracle. Oh, splat. Double miracle. And triple miracle. Ooh, that was a lot of miracles. And then poison. So poison is a really strong counter to Akaran, where this card is now a dead man walking. Doesn't mean he's not going to go down fighting, but it does mean that he's much less of a, I don't have to worry about dealing with him in my following turn, because he's going to be gone no matter what. Also, but that is the bit of a downside, because that means he basically has to attack with him if he wants to have that card do any benefit, where otherwise he might ready, which might give me a better turn next turn. Holy crap, that is nice. Modifier is very good, guys. That's a bit of a bummer. I don't love that. Don't love target acquired on that, but I was just talking about how powerful it is, so it makes sense. Does Moors have enough to one-shot it? Maybe with target acquired? No. Whew. Ah, that miracle that one was wasted. Okay. Now, I'm out of tricks aside from Vahl herself, so this could very quickly snowball against me. Bakari's been on the board a long time. She's got a really good ranged attack right now. Herder. Oh, I needed that miracle, because I was just thinking about how lackluster that damage looked. Will you survive, Bakaria? Yes, you will survive no matter what happens here. He's got a pretty good bonus on range. He's got a lot of ready charged up. I really like this modifier. I'm really glad they added the just bullet storm modifier where range attacks buff up all the time. It does exacerbate some of the existing problems where barrage is just so powerful that you don't have a lot of reason to take anything else. But okay, here's my thought process. We'll go with it. Just to talk about it, I want her to be over here because, yeah, because with his ranged attack charge. Oh, beautiful. Miracle? Yeah. Oh, I needed that. Okay. Just thinking about my follow-up turn against Akaran with Vahl on the board, I want to make sure that my barrage cards are able to cross over. So I want him to stay alive and her to die. So I didn't put him across from Agatone. Such a cool character. Such a cool card. Oh, man. This is the last game. If you're still with me, I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm still a little bit in shock that people watch these videos, but at the same time, I love making them, so I will continue to make them, and anyone else who enjoys them is just icing on the cake. It's gonna be bad. What's he gonna do? Oh yeah! Oh, miracle! It wasn't enough to save her, but it's pretty darn close. And now this is a bummer that he is not going to be vulnerable to barrage here. Her. Sure wish I had some more poison. Miracle. Oh man. Oh, that was already a second life. Ooh, that changes things. Because this guy doesn't have a ranged attack, so he's significantly less of a threat than Agatone was with that buff. And Vahl herself has max fear, so I'm not particularly worried about Akaran's attacks. This is going to be a nail biter. I don't know who's going to win this one. I have a chance. It's going to come down to my miracles. It's going to come down to what I'm able to do. I've got an edge in some ways. But to win this, I really need Bragg to start hitting Akaran with those barrage hits, which I think he will. Oh, beautiful. Because that miracle on defense really saved him, so he should survive a return melee attack. And if I can kill this guy, I'm in dramatically less danger here. And I love that Bragg has a melee attack. That's absolutely life-saving here. I also just love playing with Bragg. He's one of those cards that I really like this character. He's love the price point, love the stats, love the ability. Great with this modifier. Okay, saving all my miracles on that one. Oh, not on that one. Boom. And now he may have lethal here. So this is the thing. I'm crossing my fingers for a miracle. Got a 1 in 5 chance. Assuming he has lethal, which he may not. That is a really big range buff, plus the modifier. He could pull this out. And this is one of the things that's had me really enjoying playing as Vahl, though, is you have these moments where you're like, oh no! Oh, beautiful. Okay, that was the way to end the video. So that, yeah. So of course, I had a 1 in 5 chance of reducing that incoming damage by enough to survive that, and then I would immediately have won. But man, what a gamble on his part! And look at this defeat screen where there's no one left but Akaran himself. I don't love Akaran still, but God, what a game! That was good. All right, we're ending on that one. That was phenomenal. All right, have a good night, y'all. Cheers.